Somewhere along the way, someone told you that you needed to figure out who you are before you could figure out what to do. Find yourself first. Know your purpose. Get clear on your values. Do the inner work. Become the woman who is ready. So, you have been doing just that for months, and some of you for maybe even years. The journaling, the reflecting, researching, the healing. Waiting for the version of yourself that finally feels certain enough to move. And she keeps not showing up. Not because something is wrong with you, but you were handed the sequence backwards. You don't find yourself before the exit, you find yourself inside of it. I spent a decade doing what corporate asked of me. I sat in meetings where the COO walked to the whiteboard, started drawing the marketing funnel, seriously, marketing 101, freshman year stuff, and I sat there and nodded. What I wanted to say was, "You piece of shit, I already know this. Can I go back to work now?" What came out of my mouth, though, was absolutely nothing. Just quiet agreement, nodding along, stroking his ego, making him feel better. That was a version of me that corporate built, not incompetent, overcompetent, and silenced. Then, one day, on a conference call, I made the case for a fundamental marketing principle, something I knew cold, inside and out. I could argue about this for hours. I knew I was right. The CMO looked at me and said, "Don't get so excited, Shannon." 5 words. And I felt myself getting smaller in that moment. He wasn't correcting my work. He was managing my volume, my passion. I was too much, too certain, too willing to take up space and challenge his really, really stupid idea. The fastest way to neutralize that was to make my passion the problem. I want to be honest about what I did next. I didn't fight it. I adjusted again. Because I had been adjusting for so long that I stopped noticing I was even doing it. I had practiced disappearing so many times, I called it professionalism. Here's what I know now that I didn't know then. She didn't disappear, she just got quieter. I wasn't waiting to find myself. I was waiting for a structure where I didn't have to keep hiding her. The personal development industry needs you to believe that you're broken before it can help you. A woman who believes she needs to reinvent herself is a woman who will keep buying courses and retreats and certifications and frameworks designed to help her become someone new. That's their entire business model, an entire industry. But you, my friend, are not broken, and you do not need to become someone new. You need to stop performing inside a structure that was never built for who you already are. Here is the distinction that matters. Reinvention says, you are not enough as you are. Start over. The clean exit says, you are more than enough. You've been constrained by the wrong container. One of those keeps you in a holding pattern indefinitely. You can always do more inner work. You can always go deeper. You can always wait until you feel more ready. The other gives you a next step. You don't need to become someone else. You need to give who you are somewhere better to stand. This is where the reinvention narrative gets closest to the truth, but then it takes a completely wrong direction. You don't need to discover a new self. You need to reclaim the one corporate quietly asked you to set aside. So we have resume identity disorder, which is STD number 5, the socially transmitted disease. It doesn't arrive with a diagnosis. It builds year by year, review cycle by review cycle. You start measuring your worth by your title, your salary, You introduce yourself by your job function before you ever even utter your name. You tie your sense of capability to how well you perform inside someone else's structure last quarter. That's how you are evaluated. And so you shrink into it. And then we have STD number 10. Good girls don't build empires. The belief that claiming authority, charging what you're worth, and leading visibly is somehow dangerous. That staying small is the safe choice. That the woman who takes up too much space will be punished for it. You're not wrong about the punishment. History has made sure of that. But what corporate did was take that historical truth and make it run automatically. No external enforcement required. You do that all by yourself now. They don't have to help you. You softened the ask before anyone even asks you to. You undercharge before anyone even questions your price. You wait for permission that is never going to arrive. That is not who you are. That is who you've learned to be inside a system that needed you compliant. The exit is not about building a new woman. It's about giving you a structure where you no longer have to edit yourself to survive. You get to be yourself, the person, the woman that you were created to be. Here's what actually happens when a woman leaves corporate and builds a service-based business. She doesn't leave because she finally figured out who she was. She leaves because she built something solid enough to step out onto. The identity shift, that felt sense of herself as someone capable, self-led, and no longer dependent. It happens after she builds the income, after she gets the first client, after she sees the money coming from something that she owns. Not before. Never before. See, corporate conditioned you to believe certainty precedes action. You get the job description before you apply. You get the training before you do the work. You know the rules before you play the game. Or in some cases, you never even learn the rules. Building your own income, it reverses that sequence entirely. You have to act first, and then certainty follows, never the other way around. It's not reckless. It's how real confidence is built, not through self-knowledge, but through evidence. You show yourself. The inner work and the practical path are not enemies, but they have an order of operation. Structure always comes first. The self-discovery happens inside the building, not as a prerequisite for the building. You don't need to have yourself all figured out. You just need these 4 things, and that is it. It's not identity work. It's not some massive inner transformation. This is a list, and a list you can check off. Because I love scratching things off my to-do list. So, number 1, we have your freedom number. The exact monthly income you need to replace your paycheck. Not a vague sense of enough money, but a number written down, specific. Until you have the freedom number, leaving feels like jumping off a cliff. Once you have it, it just becomes a math problem. And math problems have solutions, and we can't gaslight ourselves with some good math. Number 2, a freedom fund. The savings runway that buys your nervous system safety to build without panic. Because panic has some desperate smell that people can smell from miles away. 3 to 6 months of expenses, not optional, not someday, before you leave. And that amount is different for every woman. It's all about your own nervous system safety. Number 3, a freedom timeline. A real exit date that you're building toward. Not someday, not when the kids are older, not when the economy settles. A date, a stake in the ground. You've circled it on your calendar. You've written it down. It's going to happen. Number 4, a first offer. One simple, specific, serviceable offer. One type of client, one clear outcome you deliver. Not 10 ideas, not even a full business plan. One thing that could replace the first dollar of income. These 4 things, that's the stack. Not a new personality, not some massive reinvention of yourself, not a purpose statement or a vision board or a fully articulated philosophy of who you are. 4 things, built in sequence. Freedom is not a vibe. Freedom is a structure you build before you feel ready to live inside of it. I joke that entrepreneurship is the best self-development program out there. You think you need to know who you are before you can build something real, when in reality, building something real is how you find out who you're meant to be. If you've been doing the inner work for a long time and still not moving, this is not an indictment of the work that you're doing. Knowing yourself matters, and reflection is not nothing. I have plenty of journals with tons of scribbles to prove that. I think reflection is incredibly important and very valuable. But reflection without structure is just a longer, more articulate version of staying stuck. The most self-aware women in the world can't exit corporate on self-knowledge alone. She needs a number, an offer, and a timeline. You don't have to have yourself all figured out because, frankly, you probably never will. You need to have your exit figured out, and the rest follows that action. I know what the search feels like from the inside. I've done it. I was in the whiteboard meeting nodding at Marketing 101 while the real version of me sat in the back of my own mind with her arms crossed, wondering, how much longer are we gonna have to do this? The women who exit corporate, it's not the woman who finally figured herself out. She's the woman who decided to build the structure before she felt ready and found out who she was by doing it. The exit did not wait for her to be certain. It became the thing that made her certain. Here are your reflection questions. And again, in the show notes, I love for you to use hands. Yeah, please do use your hands. Use pen and paper, but if you must type, then please by all means, just some reflection questions. 5 of them. Where have I been using self-discovery as a reason to delay building? What part of myself did corporate ask me to set aside, and have I been calling the research for her, finding myself when she was already there? Do I have a freedom number, a freedom timeline, and a first offer? Or just a feeling that I need more clarity? What would I build? Number 4, what would I build this month if I accepted that readiness is not found? It's built. And number 5, how long have I been preparing to begin? Ouch. If this episode named the loop you've been living in, go deeper with me on Substack and subscribe. That's where I write about the practical path out, the structure, the numbers, and the clean exit that does not require you to have yourself fully figured out first. I'm Shannon Baird, and this is The Clean Exit.